7:30 hearing of the Board of Appeals at the John Cronin Conference Room. Today is April 19th, 2018. With me is Theodore Daber to my right and Kathleen O'Donnell to my left, both members of the board. Our 7:30 hearing tonight is upon the application of Matthew Bergen dated March 6, 2018 on file with the board for variances from the terms of 5A1 and 6C1 of the zoning bylaw. The applicant proposes to be able to build a 14.6 feet by 16.3 foot second-story addition above an existing attached garage and a 6-foot by 30-foot third-story shed dormer at the single-family home located at 108 Governors Road. Section 5A1 limits buildings to 2.5 stories. In determining if a third floor qualifies as a half-story, a measurement is taken where 4 feet of space occurs vertically under the plane of the roof. The floor area within the limits of this 4-foot line must be 2/3 or less of the floor area of the story immediately below. This addition as proposed would violate 6A1 since the space immediately below the addition on the second floor consists of 601 square feet at 4 foot in height rather than 544 square feet permitted under the zoning, a variance of approximately 57 feet. Section 6C1 requires new buildings or new portions of buildings be set back a minimum distance of 10 feet from the side property line, where the applicant is proposing 5.8 from the left side property line. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. I have the application. I have the submitted by the owner and Mr. Sheffield, who I see is representing the owner on his behalf. I have a letter from the Milton Building Commissioner consistent with the advertisement that I just read, and I have a set of drawings consisting of a plan of land of the property along with elevations of the exterior of the building prepared by RJD Architectural Designs. I see the applicant and his attorney are with us tonight. How can we help you? Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you. I'm pleased to represent Matt and Heather Bergen and their family of 108 Governors Road. They are living in a house that was originally constructed in 1927. They purchased it in 2009. And when they purchased it, they had 2 children. Since then, they have had 2 more children, and the children are growing older, and they are in a situation in which, with a family of 6, they need additional room. They are planning to, with your permission, to erect another floor which would permit 2 more bedrooms and a bath. And they would also put a bath and closets over their existing garage. The existing garage is 5 foot 8 inches from the sideline, and the bylaw requires for a Residence C district a space of 6 feet. So a variance would be required to put an additional structure on top of the garage. The structure on the top of the garage will be no closer to the side lot line than the existing garage is. It would be designed so that it would increase the vertical height, but not increase the proximity to the side lot line. The addition over the current second floor, they'd be putting an additional floor there so that it would be 2.5 stories. However, under our bylaw, since the space which would include the non-usable areas such as the stairway, is only allowed to be two-thirds of the area of the floor below it, and this is slightly over it, over that maximum floor space, and that would require the granting of a second variance. This is being requested on the basis of hardship insofar as currently there is only 2,000 square feet, and this is really difficult for a family of six, particularly when we have three of the children who are girls, and girls tend to need more space in a living situation.
You've got to stop that, seriously. Seriously, I grew up with 4 girls in a 2-bedroom house, so
Okay,
stop.
okay. I had 3 girls. And, but this is the reason why we're here today. It's a Residence C district that's 7,000 square foot lot, and I invite you to ask any questions, and would request your approval of the variance.
Let me ask my colleagues if they have questions of the applicant. Mr. Daber.
Sure, I have a few. So how many, you said the house is currently 2,000 square feet. How many square feet approximately would this add to it?
It's 601 that's adding to the living area. There are 3 bedrooms on the second floor, and it's adding 2 bedrooms and a bath in the attic area, in the 3-story, in the walk-up attic. Excuse me. When I originally applied for the permit, my architect, who had filed the plan similar to this in the town before, said that the stairway and the opening around the stairway, because we're trying to join the 2nd and 3rd floor as much as possible and open it up, in that non-usable area, if that's not included in the equation or the calculation, we're actually under the required amount. But in talking with the building department, Joe had asked me to come back in and review that with me, and he said, no, the stairway had to be included, and that's what put us over the calculation. So that's when I reapplied with the 601, because I think it was 544 square feet, which had us around 25 square feet under the correct.
Right, so there's the 601, but then there's
The
over the
answer-
second,
That would be 224 square feet.
okay, so it's about 800,
So it would be
825. 825.
No, that's not the answer. Well, his question is how many square feet are being added on the second floor?
No, I meant, maybe I said that, but I meant total.
I know, but he's only giving you the 3rd floor.
He's
He's only giving us the 2.5 story. What's on the second floor? What's being,
second floor right now has 2 bedrooms.
no, what's being added on the
Added.
second floor above the garage? How many square feet?
I thought he said 224 square feet.
No, I'm sorry, bathroom and closets,
How many square feet is that?
224.
I don't think so. I don't know. That doesn't, 224
224.
on the second floor?
Yeah,
And 601 on the 2.5 floor?
no, it would be 14 by 16.
Yeah, 16.3 by 14 point, yeah, right.
What is it?
Which is 224.
Okay, sorry.
So it's 825 total.
825 altogether, correct.
Right. And so was an effort made to try to come up with plans that would satisfy it with 544 square feet? I'm sorry if you answered that, but I was...
What I had done was after I had come in and Joe and Jay had said I was over,
Yeah,
knowing my family, because Jay's come out and inspected the house in the past, I had said, should I pull that back? He goes, Matt, if you pull the wall back, you're gonna lose too much area, because also, in thinking of the design, where that 4 feet on the front wall is, it's where the closets for the bedroom are gonna be along the front 12 pitch of the roof. So you have a 4-foot wall, and that's where the calculation for the living area starts. To use it and put a closet in, I'm actually pulling the closet wall out about 6 feet into that bedroom to make it so it's a usable closet when the kids get older. So that's why, in doing that, by pulling in the back wall to get it under that amount, it was narrowing the bathrooms down, the bedroom down and the bathroom down, and both the officers of the building department advised me that I should apply for the variance.
Okay, thank you. Did you speak to the neighbors about the
Yes.
proposal?
We spoke to all the neighbors, we showed plans to all the neighbors, and we asked if they were supportive, if they would be good enough to sign the letter, and we have the letter to provide to the board this evening.
Went to all my abutters, as well as anyone who has a view of the house, not just the immediate abutters. And one of my abutters, my neighbor from Plymouth, my directly neighbor behind me, is here in the audience as well.
Okay, so the abutters on both sides,
4 sides.
Both
Oh, 4 sides.
Front and rear.
okay, in front and rear as well, and
And
others on the street as well?
And across the street on Governor's, across the street on Plymouth.
Okay, and was there anybody that you spoke to who was opposed to it?
No.
No? Okay. I don't have any other questions right now.
Ms. O'Donnell?
So just remind me, so you already got a variance for the sort of deck extension on the first floor?
Variance to put a deck in the back.
Back when we did that, you had a question on that, and when we reused the deck, you were very happy that I was recycling on that, just, I don't remember that, because it was a 20 by 20 deck that we cut in half, and I kept a 10 by 10 portion of it, so when we did the addition, we brought that old deck back onto the house.
Okay,
That was done 4 years ago.
yep, okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, tell me again, tell me what's going on the second floor?
On the second floor,
Yeah.
would essentially remain unchanged, and there are currently 2 bedrooms,
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms, and
On my existing second floor, there are 3 bedrooms, and then we're installing the master bath and walk-in closets above the garage. Right now, my wife and I have a bedroom that has a tiny closet in it, and we have open shelving in our bedroom right now, so I'm trying to alleviate or eliminate that.
Put a master bath and a closet on the second floor?
Correct.
Yes.
And on the third floor?
2 bedrooms and a bath for the girls.
So there'll be 5 bedrooms in the house when it's finished, and how many baths?
There'll be 3 full and 1 half.
3 full and 1 half, and that half bath is going to be on the second and a half floor?
The half bath is on the
first
first,
floor?
have a half bath on the ground floor.
Yeah.
We have an existing stand-up tub shower on the second floor. And so we're adding a master bath.
Yep.
And then another shower with a sink.
Full bath upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me just tell people that what you've provided me, which is nice. I've never seen this before, but I like it. It's a graphic that shows the location of the home in relation to the abutting properties on Plymouth and Governors, and then there's a little graph that's assigned by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 individual homeowners on Governors Road, both sides of Governors Road and Plymouth Avenue. I won't read everybody's name, but I will represent to those watching and to the members of the board that it does appear to be everybody who's a direct abutter or, as you say, likely has some type of visual access to the property. Thank you for that. When the house is renovated, will it be, is there siding on the home? Siding?
It's old shingles.
Old shingles?
Cedar shingles.
So what will the finishes be in the
All matching with weaved corners on the addition.
uniform color?
Yes.
there any other improvements being made to the property other than what we've seen here?
No.
And when you do the work, it will be substantially similar to the drawing that you provided to us?
Correct.
Yes, it will.
As well as the plan? Okay, let me ask if, do my colleagues have any other questions at this time? Hearing none, let me ask if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in support of the application. Yes, sir. Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
How you doing?
Good, come on up. They want to hear you at home, so you need to pick up that microphone. Just introduce yourself and let us know what you think about the application.
I'm Mike Gelly. I live at 95 Plymouth Ave, which is directly behind the Bergens.
Do.
So we share a backyard, and I came to speak in support of their addition. They're a wonderful family. We like having them around. Everything that they've done to the property has probably increased the value for him, but also for the neighborhood. So, yeah, we're here to, my wife and I would like to give our support to the project.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Gelli. Appreciate your attendance. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak in support of the application? Anybody in the audience like to speak in opposition to the application, have questions about the application? Seeing none. Let me, unless people have further questions, we'll call the evidentiary portion of the hearing to a close, and we'll debate the merits of the application in accordance with the open meeting law, as Mr. Leonard would say right here and now. Ms. O'Donnell.
I just realized that there's already a garage that's in existence that's already within the side yard violation, so it's not going out any farther nearer to the abutter.
Correct.
And I like the fact that the dormer is in the rear, not in the front, so it holds on to what all the other houses in the neighborhood sort of look like, having looked at the site. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Davis.
I agree with what Ms. O'Donnell has said, and it was a good presentation. I note that it appears that everyone, certainly the four abutters and many other people in the neighborhood, have supported it in writing. And I also note that the family obviously has grown. And that certainly with four children, it appears that the current house is not large enough and they need extra space. And again, the addition of the second story over the garage is no further out than the first story is, so it's increasing the size that's outside the 10 feet, but otherwise, so all in all, I would, I think, be inclined to support the variances.
I agree with my colleagues. It's a terrific presentation. I think we've broken new ground with this chart, which is, and all the variance applications we've had all these many years. I've never seen it. It's terrific.
Thank you.
And it's a small thing, but it's pretty handy. I think it's worthy. I think that hardship's been demonstrated. Let me ask my colleagues, all in favor of granting the variances as requested in the hearing, say aye.
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 Unanimous. You have your variances, so congratulations. Let me I don't need to tell Mr. Sheffield the process, but it'll take a number of weeks for us to prepare this. Work with Mrs. Fitzgerald on getting the variances and record them at the registry, and then work with the building commissioner to obtain your building permit. I will say you need to complete the improvements as set forth in the application within 1 year of the granting of the variance, or it will lapse unless you come back and ask for further relief from the board. Congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. for your
You're welcome. Good luck
Do
to
you
you.
want me to do it, Jeff?
That'd be great. Yeah, thanks, Ted. Sure. Okay. Thank you. Hey, it's great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good to see you.
We're moving right through. I see
I will.
Steve is here, so. Yeah, okay, goodbye now. Thank you very much. Take care. Thanks for coming. Bob, good to see you, Bob.
Do I do both pages? I can't remember. Both pages. And there too? Approved by? Okay. All right, good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
I guess I should take off my microphone, huh?
Ready when you are, Steve.
Hey, Steve, good to see you. It's been a while.
Hi,
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm Kathleen O'Donnell.
Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
You ready? Okay. I'm going to call to order our second hearing of the night. It's a 7:45 hearing of, oops, get the right paperwork. Upon the application of Austin McKnight, dated March 7, 2018, on file with the board for a special permit to allow the building of a separate dwelling/temporary apartment containing 735 square feet within the second floor level of the existing dwelling located at 183 Lyman Street, which is in a Residence C zoning district. Section 6A9 of Chapter 10 of the bylaws of the town permit the building of such a separate dwelling temporary apartment pursuant to the issuance of a special permit only if it is in compliance with the terms of Section 3A9 of the bylaw, all as set forth in the application. I have the application in front of me submitted by the applicant, a letter from of the building commissioner consistent with the advertisement I just read, a plan of the property submitted by the applicant to orient us to the property at the near the intersection of Lyman Road and Nancy Road in East Milton, along with some elevations showing the property. I see the applicant is here. Welcome to the Board of Appeals. How can we help you tonight?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we are applying for a temporary permit for a temporary apartment, excuse me.
Temporary apartment.
Temporary apartment, yes. My in-laws have relocated from Florida. My mother-in-law is severely handicapped. She had a stroke almost 20 years ago, and is pretty much wheelchair-bound. And really getting into the age group that they're in, it's a bit much. They were kind of down in Florida alone.
Yeah.
And they need some help, more or less. So we had set off and built an addition for them to live in, which I did attach all the plans, I believe, there. And sort of the last piece of that is to install a kitchen area for them. The addition has been completed, with the exception of the kitchen area. And that's really what we're here for, is to ask that we are allowed to install that.
Okay. Did you talk to, let me just ask you a few, have you talked to the building commissioner about compliance with Section 3A9?
I have.
And you've gone through all the requirements of 3A9?
I have.
They're pretty lengthy, right? So I wonder if it makes sense to just summarize them for the benefit of the people here. So what we're talking about, let me just read 3A9. Following use, if authorized by a special permit, is permitted a detached one-family dwelling with a temporary apartment. That's what we're talking about. You've constructed the improvements. Is that right?
I have constructed the structure, and basically the bedroom, the bathroom, and the living area have been installed.
And were those all, were the improvements that were constructed in compliance with the zoning, otherwise in compliance with the
Yes.
zoning bylaw?
Yes,
So now you want to install the kitchen
yes,
to make it the apartment, which is what triggers 3A9.
correct.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so the applicant must be the owner of the one-family dwelling, that is you.
That's me.
During the effective dates of the special permit, you have to have a 50% ownership interest in the dwelling. You will be occupying the primary dwelling?
Yes.
You and who else lives in the property?
My wife and my daughter.
So 3 people plus your mother-in-law?
Mother-in-law, my father-in-law are in the, sort of the new area of the
So
dwelling.
there'll be a total of 5
Five
people
people.
living in. How big is the property?
So it was originally 1627, and then we added 735 square feet to it.
Okay.
723.
And each of the people are related, either spouse, child, parent, stepchild, step-parent, brother, sister, stepbrother, stepsister.
Yes, these are my wife's parents.
Right. Okay. We've got a design. The lot shall be of adequate size and configuration. The one-family dwelling shall be of adequate size for the uses. And you said that there's 3 people who live in the one-family dwelling now.
Yes.
You are. How big is that?
1627.
Okay. Will there be any home health people coming into the home?
It wouldn't be on a permanent basis, it would be more on a visiting basis.
How long do you expect this arrangement to continue?
I would say, you know, until they're not able to continue, 4 to 8 years. They're actually both 70 years old. But I would say they're in reasonably good health for the both of them.
It's a 4-year permit. So if we were to grant the permit, you'd have to come back here in sufficient time, and it was still if the arrangement was still there, we'd have to have another hearing. So
Sure.
the limit under the bylaw is a 4-year arrangement. And then if you were to sell the property, the permit would not transfer with the property, given the conditions that upon which the bylaw has imposed.
Okay.
You understand all that?
I do.
And you said you've gone through that with the commissioner?
I have. Yeah, we worked very close the whole time we were doing the construction with Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, and the status of the improvements right now, I know you said that the kitchen isn't there, but is the addition that you've built, is it otherwise habitable?
It is. I actually did bring some recent photos.
When were you going to share those with us? Oh, okay, so tell us what we're looking at.
So you've hit the living area, and there's a photo of, you know, handicapped accessible bathroom.
This is the new area that you built?
This is the new area, yes. Handicapped accessible bathroom, that really, and the, sort of that back wall is, the blank wall is where the kitchen area would be.
Okay,
There's a chairlift down into the garage area to get my mother-in-law up and down the stairs. So that's already, you know, sort of
They're there
everything's...
now.
They're there now, yes.
use your kitchen.
They do. They do.
Is that a sensitive subject, should I not bring that up? I can't withdraw the question, I've already
They
said
do
it.
use my kitchen,
And
yes.
everybody has seen me say it on television. Sorry about that. So the improvements, you've got a large living area, you've got a large bedroom, you've got a bathroom, you've got a the wash area is in the bathroom.
He's in the bathroom, the washer and
Now
dryer.
you've got to have the kitchen.
Yes.
And that's the improvements.
That's the improvement, it's really the kitchen.
Okay. Let me ask my colleagues if they have any questions of the applicant. Mr. Lumbo.
Thank you, Attorney Mullen. On these applications, the requirements are pretty detailed, and we have to incorporate them in there. We have to basically cut and paste a lot of language from the bylaw. I think one of the things, we may need to know actual people's names here.
Yep.
Sure.
We're going to have to know their names anyway. And is this over the garage?
It is.
That's
It
what
was a newly constructed garage.
It's, you
Well,
said-
it was kind of constructed as a unit, it was the garage with the space above it.
Other than the chairlift down to the garage, is there any other egress?
There is actually, I did add a photo there of the back deck. So there is access to the back deck, and then there's access into the other side of the house as well through a pocket door. There's actually a pocket door that kind of splits the staircase. So there's a side to go into there, and there's a side to go into the other side, as well as the sort of white door there would be access into the their area.
Comes out onto the back porch area there?
Yes.
When you constructed this apartment, I guess you had in mind the handicapped nature of your mother-in-law?
We did, yeah. And it was primarily because of that.
Yeah. Fair to say that you made handicap width doorways throughout?
We did.
I think I'm good for now, Jeff.
Ms. O'Donnell.
I just I hadn't realized that you'd actually already built the addition, so this really, at this point, just looking to put in the kitchen.
It's really just to put the kitchen. Yes, we've had all the final inspections and everything on the other,
Okay.
on the other side.
Because we know when we talk about these things, it's always like, well, what did it look like from the outside? And, whether there's any issues with, neighbors and that sort of thing, but you've already got that, so.
Yeah, basically outside,
not
everything
gonna
is...
see the kitchen.
It's really just the kitchen, and I tried to take a photo to show you just the back wall, is a little different from, maybe looks a little different from the rendering, but the rendering also doesn't show the access into the other side of the house.
What's that? Okay, I think we should put the names on the record right now, instead of, because the bylaw does say the applicant shall provide, so I think Mr. Lombard raises a good, so we've got Austin McKnight, lives in the primary dwelling with his wife, whose name is
Danielle McKnight,
Danielle. And your daughter,
Riley McKnight,
Riley, R-I-L-E-Y,
yes,
and your mother-in-law,
is Carolyn Munier,
C,
C,
spell the last name,
Munier,
and your father-in-law,
Michael Munier,
C-H-A-E-L,
yes.
M-U-N-I-E-R. Okay. Anything else, Steve, in particular?
No, just going through it.
We're going to, if the board grants these, we're going to incorporate the design as well, because the bylaw is specific on the design. Are the renderings that are included with the design that you've included here, are they consistent with the photographs and how it's been built?
They are.
Did you build it yourself?
We were more or less the general contractors, yes.
Did you talk to your neighbors about this?
I did.
What did they say?
They were supportive
And
of
when
it.
you say neighbors, who are the neighbors? So, every neighbor, everybody on the street?
A
people behind you, next
lot
door,
of,
behind-
there's really nobody behind us, it's more or less woods
Yeah, I saw
behind
that,
us.
right, yeah.
So it's been the next door neighbors on either side, the neighbors across the street, diagonally, sort of, it's a pretty small, close neighborhood, and
What do they say?
they didn't have an issue with it.
How many cars do you have?
3.
Including your mother-in-law's car?
Yeah, they are just the one car and my wife and myself. So there's three cars total.
And how many cars fit in the garage?
You could fit, I believe, 3. We have not tried that.
There's no cars in the garage.
There's no cars in the garage. There's 3 outside
Got it.
right now.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
I don't have any questions.
Let me ask if members of in the audience, if people have would like to speak in support of the application. Seeing none, let me ask if there's anybody who has a question about the application or would like to speak in opposition to the application. Seeing none, we're going to call to close the evidentiary, unless my colleagues have questions. We're going to close the hearing, the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and debate the merits of the application in accordance with the open meeting law. Right here and now. Mr. Lombard.
Thank you, Attorney Mullen. Thank you for the application, Mr. McKnight, very well presented. Obviously, a demonstrated need. I think you and your wife have gone above and beyond to accommodate your in-laws. There's a lot of detail to this particular bylaw with respect to these temporary apartments, and I'm glad you were able to give us the information that we need. Very tasteful design. Looked at the photographs, looked at the sketches, and it looks very nice. We're dealing with a special permit, Mr. Chairman, less of a burden than a variance. I think it's clearly within the public good, and we're not substantially derogating from the intent of the bylaw. So for those reasons, I would tend to vote in favor of the application.
I'm certainly in favor of it. As I said, we've gone through these temporary apartments before, and our bylaw is a little cranky on that subject. So, but I appreciate the fact that, you've already done the construction, that's already been approved. And that really all we're looking at is putting in the kitchen. So I'm up for it.
Okay, thank you.
Great, I agree. It's terrific.
Yeah.
Congratulate you on doing it. And I agree with everything that both of my colleagues have said, in particular Steve's attention to detail, and appreciate the fact that you've worked with the commissioner so closely.
Thank you.
So, all in favor of granting the special permit to Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations. You have your special permit.
Excellent.
Consistent with the last hearing, we'll take a few weeks to prepare the special permit, can work closely with Mrs. Fitzgerald, obtain a copy recorded at the registry, and proceed to pull a building permit to construct the kitchen. The improvements would need to be done within 1 year of the issuance of this special permit. It sounds like you're ready to go, and I urge you to work cooperatively with Mrs. Fitzgerald and the building commissioner to get your project done. Congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, Steve, thanks. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We're going to call to order our third hearing of the night. It's on the application of Michael Modestino, attorney for the Mignosa 1983 Family Trust, the owner and operator of the Milton Marketplace at 10 Bassett Street, which is located partially in a Residence C district and partially in a business district. The applicant is seeking a special permit and an amendment to the variance that was issued in 1982 to create Milton Marketplace as a two-story shopping center. The applicant proposes to construct a 7,500, although I believe that's been corrected, but I'm just reading the ad, addition consisting of 3,400 square feet of new retail space and 4,100 square feet of storage and production space above the single-family portions of the existing building and entirely within the current footprint. The applicant is also seeking to correct an existing nonconformity with respect to one side lot line setback with a distance of 6 feet where the 10-foot is required in a Residence C. The provisions of Section 6A of the zoning bylaw nonconforming uses of building and land require that expansions of pre-existing nonconforming buildings must be authorized by the issuance of a special permit by the board. So the applicant is seeking a special permit and an amendment to the variance. I have, with me today is Stephen Lundbaum and Kathleen O'Donnell, both members of the board. My name is Jeffrey Milton. I'll be acting as the chairman. I have the application as submitted by attorney Modestino. I have a plot plan of the property describing the improvements, a letter from Mr. Prondak, the building commissioner, and plans of the improvements prepared by Walter A. McKinnon Associates, along with what looks like an Alta survey, or it's just a second-story improvement plan prepared by DeSeal Burke. Let me, before we begin the hearing, I believe there is some additional material that's come in that I'll just read into the record if you just bear with me. Mr. Modestino has corrected the record with a letter that's come to the board in care of Mrs. Fitzgerald, correcting that the total is 43,897 square feet on floor 1 and floor 2 with the expansion if approved. So instead of the, what did I read?
48,000.
48, it's 43,897. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. And you submitted a couple of drawings supporting that mathematics. So we'll just, the board will take note of that. Thank you very much. We also have a couple of letters. You know what, I'll read the letters during the portion of the hearing where people have an opportunity to speak, but I'll let you make your application first. I say welcome back to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr.
Whalen.
Nolan. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
members of the board.
Counsel.
Michael Modestino, representing the applicant, Michael McNosa, trustee of the McNosa 1983 Trust. As stated, we're seeking an amendment to the existing variance for the expansion that they would like to conduct to increase the size of the building. We also are requesting, at the request of Building Commissioner Prondak, a special permit to correct the problem on the far right side of the building at the rear. Apparently, the lot line is 6 feet away instead of 10 feet. My clients did not know that until Mr. Prondak brought it to their attention. The building was built in 1982. We're not really sure what happened at that particular point in time, but it's the back right-hand corner. I've gone over there to look at it. There's a retaining wall behind it. It's adjacent to the municipal parking lot. There's no buildings back there. There's no other structures. There's also landscaping and landscaping timber that separates the building from the municipal parking area. In terms of the request to increase the second floor of the building, By way of history, in 2012, the applicant came before the board at that time and requested a 2,800 square foot expansion on the second floor. It was a proposed 35 by 80 area on the second floor. It was going to be used for storage and production work. It was not going to be retail work. It was permitted in January of 2012. My client abandoned that at some point. I have with me tonight the construction supervisor, Anthony Maggiore, and Michael McNosa, who's the trustee of the family trust. The reason that it was abandoned in 2012 was it was determined that it was not going to structurally work. It was going to require columns and supports to be put on the first floor in the fruit center area, which would have resulted in some inconvenience and some loss of space. It also would have been very, very costly. Since that time, my client has consulted with Mr. Maggiore, and it's now been determined that the expansion could be done on the second floor without affecting the integrity of the first floor, without interfering with the structural integrity of the building. I'll have Mr. Maggiore explain that to you in a moment, how that would work. But what is proposed here is 7,500 square feet, 4,100 would be for storage and production space. There would be no increase on parking requirements or usage at all. There'd be no greater traffic caused by that 4,100 square feet. It's simply trying to move some of the food production operations away from the retail space on the first floor. Some of the food production is done on the first floor, and allow that to be used for store purposes down below. Also, where it is situated now, perhaps Anthony, you could spread out the
Do you want
plan there.
the plan of the addition or
Yes, the plan of the
footprint?
addition.
I don't know if they want to, I have a couple other copies if you guys want to see.
Maybe we can look at this.
Thank you.
Well, tell us what we're looking at.
You guys, anybody here want to look at something? Yeah. Wanna? Okay, another one here. Basically, the dark outline area is where we'd be going up with the second level. It's existing footprint now, it's not going beyond the existing.
So let me just orient, the parking lot is here, is that right?
Yes.
In up here, correct.
And over there, yeah, okay.
Correct.
And when you say the dark outline, what is the dark outline?
Solid dark line, yes, if you,
And then close that for us? How do you close that?
excuse me,
There's a dark, I see the dark outline on three sides. Where is the
Yeah.
dark outline on the fourth side?
it butts up against the building. The building already has a second level on part of it.
Okay,
So that corridor wall that you see, the double doors,
Okay.
the stairwell, that's all existing second floor elevation.
Okay.
What we'd be doing is butting up against that. So that footprint exists now. None of the dark outlined area goes beyond the existing footprint of the building.
okay.
And the elevation we had
So
drawn,
before we leave this, where is the 4,100 of storage and production and the...
I think it's labeled on that, is it not?
Yeah, it's, where are you pointing there?
This one?
And what is this?
Yeah.
And that would be the proposed 3,400 square feet of retail space.
Is there a tenant for that?
Not at this point, but
What kind of retail would it be?
it would be similar to what's in the store now. You know, there's a toy store in there, there had been a bookstore before, there had been an antique shop before. So it would be something similar to that, so, you know, something fairly low traffic, something that wouldn't require a lot of deliveries being made to the premises. And I think it's important to emphasize that what they're trying to do is that several years ago, I think it was 2012, they had a couple of tenants up there in the second floor, retail tenants. I think it was Earthly Possessions, which was an
Yeah.
antique shop, and the little book room. The Snow Goose, I'm sorry.
Right, the wool place. Yeah.
And, you know, they had to take that space back, frankly, because they needed more space for production. You know, my client would like to move the existing food preparation kitchen and the food preparation area into the proposed 4,100 square feet area. However, they would like to rent out maybe 2 small retail spaces, basically to get back what they gave up in 2012. You know, one of the most expanding areas of their business is the food preparation area, and they've had to employ a lot of resources to try to prepare the foods. And they were properly permitted for those retail spaces back in 2012. So the intent would really be to try to get some small retail stores back in the area. And we could point out, maybe Anthony, you could point out on there where we're talking about in terms of
Okay, yeah, this is
moving
most
space.
current plan as far as they're concerned, as to what we've got now. They're utilizing this whole space now, which
As the
originally
plate.
the marketplace for their food prep, or
Commercial kitchen in there.
commercial kitchen for manufacturing all the prepared foods in
Yep.
this entire space here. So this space here, the freezers, the coolers would probably stay there, but this area here would be relocated over here, and this square here would be then retail space, which makes more sense to the flow of the building and what have you, being retail space here, what have you, rather than have all this kitchen area here that you walk by, there's no access to the public now at all.
And that's where Earthly Possessions
Production.
was located.
Yeah,
Production and manufacturing area for their prepared foods in this area here.
So, new retail here, or,
Correct.
and new retail here?
No,
Where's
no,
not?
no. New retail here, this being relocated over here. This
Because you've
kitchen
got,
area.
so this is an outdated plan here.
Correct. Originally, we were gonna call this retail space, this 3,400. Now, after looking at it, and I didn't have the architect, didn't redraw this in time for this meeting, so, and after our discussions with Mike and Mike Modestino, we decided this would be more fitting and practical way to operate as far as the overall second level.
but sorry, so this one, so this area, you don't have a measurement for that. So when you've said that you're going to be
That's
doing
about 2,000 square feet.
41 of, you know,
1,800, yeah.
of prep and stuff like that, and you're moving this, and you say you have 3,400 of retail, that's not true, is it?
No, here's what's happening. Yes, this is still.
That's still
this
gonna
is
be,
still
right.
maintaining, correct. Because above and beyond the kitchen, there's.
Still, yeah.
Manufacturing,
Right.
packaging, all that, which a lot of that now is done off-site.
Mm-hmm.
and Brought to the, so, and/or in this area here, which last year we stole about 300 square feet to comply with a proper egress and corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So we took area away from them that they were doing it in this area here. So now, after reviewing and looking at what seemed to make more sense and a better flow for the upstairs, is to take this unit here and put it over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of this would be the packaging and storage and that type of thing. So you'd get approximately, what'd you say, 1,800?
Actually, it's about 1,800 square feet down. Actually, can I interrupt you, Tony? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we actually want to move the kitchen, not here, Tony, we want to move it down.
Down further,
and-
okay.
And this would be retail space, I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right.
So the space is that this space right here, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
this space
the-
right here used to be the
This-
book room
no,
going
oh,
back
yeah,
years
right.
ago. And then this space was the Snow Goose. We
Yep.
rented this space to Benjamin Fisk, so that's
Right.
occupied right now. This is production space for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
This, which used to be retail space, is production space for us right now. We've basically outgrown our kitchen, though.
Yeah.
So the idea is, or the hope is, to move it down here, expand the kitchen,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then make this available for retail. As Tony said, one of the problems with the second floor is there's a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
big disruption in the middle here.
Right,
You have retail.
Yeah, and
it's-
then a dead
So
space.
she's kind of just cut off from the rest of the world. So it makes more sense to have retail there. And the other possibility or hope was that we'd have retail on the opposite side of these shops as well. So you would have retail all through here, and then all our commercial and production would be down the end here, although we would keep this room for production as well. So the space we lost here, we're looking to gain back much of that between these two spaces here.
Yeah, but see, what I'm trying to find out is that, people are concerned about the retail and the traffic and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
I'm just trying to figure out, are you actually increasing the retail space
We are
at all?
asking for
Because
more.
you're taking this and moving this over here.
Well, can I just interrupt? This was all
That-
retail space at one point.
I understand that. I understand that.
And then they took away from it, so they're putting back what they had for
Yeah.
retail space. But as to the way the building is right now, yes, they'd be adding retail space.
Here's the question. You're adding 7,500 square feet. There's been testimony that 4,100 square feet of that is storage and 3,400 is retail. Is that true or not?
Yes.
So you're going to add 3,400 square feet of retail, but you haven't really laid it out yet.
So as far as who's going to go in there and
I
where?
don't care who's going in there, I want to know where the space is.
Space is where it says right here.
But you told us something different.
I just heard two different versions of that story,
Tony was
and now I've heard a third
Tony
one.
was mistaken as far as where the retail space would go, the additional retail. It'll go where it is on the plan existing right there.
So you're going to take this kitchen stuff out and you're going to move it over here
That is the hope.
Correct.
Yes.
in this area.
Correct.
And so this space and this space would now be retail?
Correct.
And that adds up to 3,400 square
It
feet?
does not. It's 35 is more than the space that
So in addition to adding 7,500 square feet, you're converting some production space that's now being used for production to retail. So there's 3,400 of new retail and a certain number of square feet that you have not yet told us that's going to be put back into use for retail that is now production.
just the kitchen, which is about 1,800 square feet.
1,800. Okay. So at the end of the day, there's going to be about 5,200 more square feet of retail than is there now,
What is it, 1,800?
right?
That doesn't,
Your application, that's what I'm hearing. 7,500 square feet of new space, 4,100 of it's for production. You're going to take 3,400 for new retail. You're going to take 1,800 square feet that's now used for production, convert it to retail. That means you're going to have 5,200 square feet of retail, right?
I
Yeah,
guess-
I think you have it correct,
Yeah, okay. Just want to understand what's going on.
But I think some of it was, formerly retail, that was.
I know, but the fact that some of it was formerly retail is less important to the
Yeah.
board, given all the changes that are going on in the square.
Yeah.
And what was happening in 1982 or 1992 or 2012 are less important than what's happening in 2018. That's the point we're trying to make. So we need to know what the proposal is. And I just want to make sure that we've got it right. You're adding 7,500 square feet, correct?
Correct.
And that's within the bold lines, adding, so to make it more of a uniform second floor.
Yes.
You're adding 4,100 of that square feet is clearly going to be storage and production space to support Milton Marketplace,
Yes.
the fruit center itself. 3,400 of it is new retail space, as shown on the drawing.
Yes.
And in addition to that, you're converting 1,800 of current production space into retail, or reconverting, or bringing it back to retail.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
So does that bring us then to 9,300 square feet?
No,
in
no,
play?
because that's changing. He's only adding
Only
75.
75 feet.
He's only adding 75. He's just converting. The reason why that's important is incremental retail is being added, as Ms. O'Donnell indicated, the parking and the traffic that comes along with that, and I'm sure that people would be interested in hearing that, that's all. That's right.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I wish I wrote that down. I'll have to remember that for the rest of the hearing.
I took notes.
Okay. Do you have, in the drawings, do you have an elevation that we can see?
Yes.
It's in that drawing, it's
Yep.
the next page. It's just a simple. What I did here was, this is the new wall, very residential looking with windows and a mansard roof. This mansard roof would come up beyond the flat roof of the second level to screen all the condensing units, water-cooled units, anything, any type of a rooftop unit that's on the roof now would be screened not only from sight and or sound. And that was the reason for bringing the mansard up, rather than just leave a flat roof with a curb on it so you could still see right across the top of the roof. You won't be able to see any of that. It'll look like a residential roof going all the way, carried right around the perimeter of the building.
That's the elevation, what, looking east? Looking west, I mean?
That's the back of the building.
Yeah, it was looking west. And that one?
This one?
No, this one here.
This one is the very back of the building where the loading docks are. These are the two loading docks.
Okay,
This is the side of the building that faces the residential homes.
okay.
Not the parking lot.
I don't know if you people in the audience have had a chance to see that elevation. Let's have one hearing, okay? So we'll have you plenty of time to ask questions. We just want everyone to hear it. So let me just make sure that people have had a chance to look at this elevation. Maybe you could hold it up for them and somebody
Yeah,
can.
this one or that one, yeah. Okay. This is the long wall that showed here.
Excellent.
This is the long wall that faces the homes on the backside, where the alley is between the residential homes and the building. Okay, that side. I'm not sure which side you want to call the back of the building. When you pull up to the front entry, the back of the building that faces all the residential homes along that side there. This is that wall there.
That's Franklin.
Yeah, right on Franklin, okay? And then this is the side that faces where the loading docks are.
That's Antwerp. The back, no.
No.
That's the back of the parking lot.
That's the back of the parking lot where the trucks loading here. So again, this is all gonna be windows residentially done with clapboard siding like the rest of the building has, with a mansard roof. Nothing is up high. Everything is lower than what the existing roofs are now. These are existing roof lines right here. This here, this here, this here, this here. Everything is down lower. The reason for running this mansard up, which I don't know if it shows right here, the reason for running that up, that roof line up, is the equipment would sit on the roof up here.
Are they there?
Now this is your roof line here. The equipment sits here, and I don't know if you can see it from the second floor windows or what have you. You get noise or smell from those second floor windows, and you just look over and see it here on the flat part of the roof. All that would be up here, but would be screened by this. You'd be looking at a mansard roof going across. You wouldn't see any equipment there. It's a pitched roof. It's a regular like gable roof is what it is. It's a wood asphalt shingled roof. Like when you look at the front of the building, you see all the asphalt shingles. That's what you'd be seeing on that second level asphalt shingled roof. Not a flat plain line with equipment on it.
Okay, let's bring it back. Okay. Thank you for that. Is that helpful for you, all of you? Okay, great, okay. Okay. Counselor, are you all set with your, this portion of the presentation?
Just one thing I would add.
Yep.
In Joseph Prondak's letter, the building commissioner's letter, on the denial for the building permit application dated February 5th, 2018, he did state, it should be noted that both the existing and proposed building are within the prescriptive limitations of the zoning bylaw with respect to height, lot coverage, and gross floor area in the residency district.
Point to us in the letter where it says that.
Very end, the last paragraph.
Very end, okay. That's the paragraph you added?
Did not.
I have a couple of questions before I ask my colleagues. You said the building was built in 1982?
Yeah, it was.
Brand-new building in 82? There wasn't an addition to a building that was there?
It was the old car barn.
I know what it
of,
was, yeah.
Carlton Ford.
How much of the old building is there? Any of it?
Yes, we had to maintain, we had to save the building. We actually had to save the
Right.
roof, the old barn, and then add on to it.
Let me tell you why this is important. You're under an application with a pre-existing nonconformity. Is the lot line variance that's being sought, is that resulting from the lot line setback that was in the old building?
Let me
I
show
had no testimony on that. I'm interested in that fact.
It's over here. It's over here, that would be the new part that was built. This was the old building, this square here,
Okay,
this square in here.
okay.
Is all the old building. No, that far corner would have been part
Out
of
of the new building.
structure when it was built, the new foundation, correct.
What's a
Okay.
6-foot?
It's a 6 foot to another parking lot line is what it is. It's not to a building that's set back. It's not 6 foot from a building on that side lot.
But
The
it's
lot
6
line
feet from
is
the
a-
lot line.
It's to a lot line, to the,
Here?
Municipal
common,
parking.
the municipal parking.
Correct.
Yeah, no, this is, all right, it's not on that. It's on, yeah, let's look at the, yeah. You can see it better, but that's why I brought the full-blown plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this corner, so this is all municipal parking, it's this corner right there, just that, it's the 6 foot. It's that point. And I quite frankly don't remember back then how it was done that, because I was part of the building of the original building.
It's six to this line here? Six to this?
Sorry, ma'am.
6 feet to the property line.
That one point is 6 feet to the property line right there.
From the building to the property line with the town. Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Right out here, name's back out here.
Let me ask you, did you talk to the, how do the parking requirements, and what is the parking situation? What can you tell us about the parking that would go along, and the expected parking demand that would go along with the equivalent of 5,200 square feet of retail? What's your expectation on parking demand?
Well, if the application was allowed and the expansion was by 7,500 square feet, the total floor area, as we stated, would be 43,897. That would require 176 spaces at 250 spaces, 250 square feet per space, and we have 189 spaces as it is now, and that's not counting the municipal parking lot.
So you're overparked.
Yes.
What about the demand? What's your observation of the demand in the lot?
Well, obviously, there'd be some increase in demand on the lot.
What about today's demand? The load factor, what kind of capacity are we at on a regular basis?
Michael, you can answer that.
It really depends on the time of year, but certainly it's high. In holiday times, it's high.
You recently got approval for some lifts in the lot, and
Yes.
those were for employees, I believe?
Yes.
So how does that, is that related to this at all?
No, and I know it's been suggested that it might be.
I'm
but-
not suggesting it, I'm just
I'm
asking
not, I
the
know
question.
you're not, but others have. And frankly, it just came up at a totally different time. Michael started thinking about the parking stackers a couple of years ago when he went down to New York and he saw them down there and come up with the idea. And then he explored it, and he got in touch with the company Parking Plus. That was last summer. And then we came in with an application around September of this year. It was denied in October, and then we took that appeal, and that's the appeal that you're talking about that was heard by the ZBA. Whereas this matter didn't come up until much later. I think McKinnon's plan is November of 2016. I think the application was submitted sometime in December, and it was denied, I think, February 5th. And it came up at a totally different time. This has been a long-standing problem about parking over there. It was Michael's idea to come up with this parking stacker idea to
Are they in?
alleviate some of the
Are they in?
crowded
Are the
parking.
stackers in?
No.
When are they going in?
Well, we have to go back before the planning board.
Planning board.
The town council had asked us to go to the ZBA first and then back to the planning board.
Okay.
The provisions of the special permit are such that anytime they do anything that's a change from the original, have to come back to get a variance from us.
Okay.
They are drawn on this,
See him, yep. Let me, Mr. Lombard, you have a question?
Where are you on the site plan approval for this application with the planning board?
Well, we haven't submitted anything yet. We felt that we needed to get this part of it out of the way and then go before the planning board on a site plan review, if we're permitted here.
Isn't there a school of thought on that,
Done it every possible way.
Sometimes, I've heard it called a fool's errand for the ZBA to look at this before site plan approval, so.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
I think that's worthy of conversation. I'd like to, let me get a few more facts on the table before we delve a little deeper, but the issue that we have with that is this could be looked at as a straightforward request as has been presented. It could also be looked at as a very complicated addition of additional square footage to a complicated site. That is really much more the purview of the planning board, where we deal with the 6-foot setbacks and people's decks on Governor's Road, which we're expert at, but not so expert at site plan review, which is the purview of the elected planning board. Ms. O'Donnell, you have questions? A question or two?
Well, I mean, I actually was on the hearing for the parking deck, and I understand that you are having a problem with them coming here first, but the problem is I think they're going to run into the same situation they ran into with the parking stackers, is that town council is going to say that the planning board can't address this question until they've amended the variance for the fruit center.
Has he said that?
Yeah, that's what he did for the parking
That's what
stackers.
he did in the parking stackers, and I would anticipate the same response.
He's going to say the same thing.
That's helpful.
Sorry about that. But I think that's what's going to happen, is if you go to do the site plan application, town council will give the same opinion, and they'll be back here.
Any questions?
Well, so I understand about the parking, and I guess my general sense of it is that you don't have any tenants or anything for this retail
And
space.
as far as the retail, for the record too, as far as the retail space goes, the request for the square footage, it's really flexible. It certainly doesn't, we can go either way with the amount of retail space that we're requesting. But we do not have any tenants for it, and there's no sense in going down that road if it's not something that's possible or plausible, so.
Yeah.
It's more important to get the 4,100 square
Of the
feet for
production
storage and
space.
production.
Yeah, and certainly we use more of that space for production and storage if we have to, if people want less retail, which is understandable.
I don't know what people want. I'm just trying to get through the preliminaries here. Okay. Any more questions for now? All right, I'm going to ask the audience if they've got any comments, but before that, I'm going to read a couple of letters that are short enough and worthy of reading that we've received. This one is an email to Mrs. Fitzgerald on yesterday, from Melissa Fassel Dunn. Dear Mrs. Fitzgerald, I'm writing to express my opposition to the proposed 7,500 square foot addition to the fruit center. East Milton is already overloaded with poor traffic patterns, cut-through problems, inadequate parking, and too many development proposals. This addition of retail space will bring more people to the square, and the square cannot sustain any more right now. Until the town can adequately address the traffic, parking, and cut-through problems, as well as come to an agreement on what is acceptable in terms of development density, height, setbacks, etc., to both East Milton neighbors and the town, development needs to come to a halt. Thank you, Melissa Dunn. Thank you, Mrs. Dunn.
What's your address?
It's Franklin Street.
Yeah, she doesn't, we'll get it specifically, Steve.
I get it. We got it.
Okay. This next one is, from Peter Dunn, perhaps, 84 Franklin Street, I guess. Peter Dunn is at 84 Franklin Street. I'm writing to express my opposition to the proposed 7,500 square feet expansion of the marketplace. I apologize, I'm unable to appear in person. I'm with my family on vacation. As you know, the majority of the marketplace's property is located in Residence C, pursuant to the variance issued in 1983. The variance special permit required a 10-foot setback. Apparently, this requirement was not adhered to. I do not take issue with this current nonconformity. That said, I believe no expansion should be permitted at this setback level. Further, with respect to the 7,500 square foot expansion, I have a great deal of concerns. They are height. The structure is surrounded by residential neighbors. The proposed height is of concern as it could block light and otherwise interfere with the abutters' enjoyment. And traffic, East Milton Square has many unresolved and increased traffic problems. More employees, customers, garbage, delivery trucks will not help. Bassett Street is often choked, and Antwerp Street has continuing traffic violation problems. Parking, the applicant recently received a variance for the lifts. These were stated to be much needed to address current parking problems and without mention of this expansion. Adding more vehicles from customers, vendors, and employees will only make the situation worse. Current parking problems are particularly acute on Antwerp Street, where visitors to the facility are parking in prohibited areas. While I'm a Milton Marketplace customer and feel they are a good neighbor to us, I believe the above stated concerns justify a denial of the proposed expansion. Thank you for consideration. Peter Dunn. Okay, so those are in the record and are on file with the board and open to public inspection. Let me ask if there's anybody in the attendance who would like to speak in support of the application that we've heard today. Let me ask if there's anybody who would like to speak in opposition to the application. Let me, welcome to the board. You have to, would you mind coming up and speaking into the microphone?
I'm Ann Corso. I'm on Antwerp Street. I think just not only myself.
Would you just say that again so that people could,
Ann Corso, 78 Antwerp Street.
could you spell that?
Corso.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Corso.
And I think just people probably just want to get more of a sense of what the size will be. You know, right now, I'm not seeing what it will look like towards the Antwerp side, so people are concerned with that. Also, how much is that going to block out? The whole car thing had just been approved, and now that's going to be taking up so much space. I mean, just even, you know, aesthetically, when you're looking out at it, then you're going to have this, if this is going up higher, is that again, how it's going to impact the neighbors on Franklin Street, I'm sure, as well as on Antwerp side. I know that with the retail area, you know, they have the shops up there. I don't see a couple of small shops being a big issue at that point. People going in, they're doing the fruit center CVS and going upstairs and going to different shops there. But I think people would like to get a better vision of what it would look like. And it's kind of, all right, the cars went in, and all of a sudden, this came on the back side of it. And why wasn't this kind of brought up or spoken of? I mean, I can't believe that's really out of the blue. It's always probably something you're concerned with. You know, expanding, you need the area to prepare your foods and all of that. And then also having the cars. And I think over the years, we kind of will go in with, you know, been happy to say fine with this, you know, different changes or additions and that type of thing. But everything's just compounded now with the whole apartment building, that going in, this expanding. I think everyone's just feeling our whole neighborhood is getting encroached upon, and it's just, it's constant, and the traffic flow and all of that. So it's affecting, you know, our lifestyles, and so I don't know if anyone's really for it now. Maybe if there's something more specific that you can see and you can look at and say, all right, it may or may not infringe upon people, but for right now, we don't have that.
So let me make sure we understand your testimony. So we heard that as articulate, and when you say you don't know if anybody is for it now, are you saying that you're not against it, but you're not for it, you have more questions? Or are you saying you're against it because you can't be for it because you don't have enough information? Or,
I think I need more information, but I also feel that we've got, people were going for it, and it seems somewhat, to me, and maybe not, it just seems somewhat deceptive, that the car rack is going in, and I know that this is a huge problem, so Michael's trying to figure ways to get some more parking in. That's gonna go in. People kind of, all right, not crazy over it, really don't want it, you know, just, you know, looking at it, what it's gonna look like. And then now, all of a sudden, well, now we wanna add on, extend, you know, make it a little bit larger. I can see the whole thing for the food concept, but what's it going to look like, and how it's going to impact all of us? So I think people are feeling a little bit duped.
fair enough. Okay, Mr. Corso, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and coming to the board. Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on this application? Yes?
Sure.
Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Jeff Smith. I live at 68 Franklin Street. I came mostly for fact-finding. We didn't actually receive a letter from the zoning board of town about this particular hearing. Maybe that got lost, but now that we...
Where is that?
Where's your property located?
So, it's right here. Actually, that's our name right there.
Okay.
And our three concerns, first two are being able to see it from our property, and the second one is
How
construction.
did you know to come? I'm sorry.
Actually, so my wife follows Milton Scene. I think Melissa Dunn runs
Good
that.
for her.
We heard about from a posting on some social network.
Good, okay, thank you.
And so the first concern is aesthetics, which again,
No,
need
let's-
more information to be against. Second one would be noise during construction. And then third one is the primary concern, which is just parking and the fact that there was a need for parking structures to support the current demand of parking. And that an increase of retail space of 5,200 potentially is the biggest concern for me personally, so.
Okay.
I had a question for you, Mr. Smith. What's the condition of the stockade fence to your rear?
The fence is in pretty good condition. I can see the property or the building over the fence, but I don't have any complaints about the current condition.
Okay.
There are trees as well, but during the cold seasons, you can see right through them, which is majority of the year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Anybody else like to be heard on this application?
Hi,
Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
thank you. Elaine Hahn, I'm at 84 Antwerp Street.
On?
Hahn, H-A-U-G-H-N.
Okay,
And
Mrs. Hahn.
I live actually beside Ann Corso, and what she said is, when you were asking, you're opposed, you're not opposed, I feel almost the same way. I don't see enough here in front of me to not say I don't want it, but also to say I do want it. I'm trying not to tie in all the parking and all those issues together, but as Ann said, we're starting to feel like the commercial side is trying to take over from our residential area, where it is a residential area. And the commercial has been invited into the residential area, but they seem to want to be taking over. I back into the fruit center from my yard, and I'm higher than it, so I do not know what I'm going to see. And from these drawings, I don't know what it will look like. We won't talk about the parking cages. That has nothing to do with what is being presented here, but that's another issue that we're dealing with, that you're going to start seeing all of the building, you're going to start seeing the parking cages, you're going to start seeing all of that. And as I stated in the other, this is not Michael's problem with the parking. It's just the town, I think, needs a plan, and we just feel, I think, overwhelmed with what's going on, so it's hard to say you want it, but I don't want to just, shoot everything down, because I feel I don't see enough tonight to say I just totally am opposed, but I just have concerns that I think we need more information.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mrs. Hahn. Does anybody else like to be heard on this matter? Okay, let me, I'm the acting chairman. Is that right?
That should have been, that's the copy of the labels that I used.
Well, it's okay, he's here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, thank you for letting us know that. We'll figure out what happens. I'd like to suggest that we, I want to have a debate about this, but I too think we need a little bit more information. So I'd like to suggest that we continue this hearing, and I want to explain why I'm asking for that. The first thing I think we need is, I'd like you to talk to the building commissioner about the nonconformity. He and I spoke about it, because I think there's a question as to whether or not we can have a pre-existing nonconformity for a building that was built in 1982 when the code was adopted in 1938. So I hear you on the application and the practicality of the fact that it's a 6-foot setback, and there doesn't seem to be too many people too concerned about it, but if the Board of Appeals acts, I want to get it right. And if a variance is needed, then we'll discuss the variance on its merits. So that's one thing. I spoke to the commissioner about this specifically, and there was some feeling on our part, at least I wasn't here in 1982 or 3 perhaps, but he was, well, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but there was some question as to the condition of the building at the time of 1982. So if you could just follow up on that. I don't want to make a judgment one way or the other, but I want to have the facts.
Sure.
The second thing is, I think the plan would be improved if we had the zoning line on it. You know, the difference between the business and the residents. They want to have some testimony as to where we are in the space as we're considering the standards that we have to adhere to. With the idea being, and the testimony being from the residents, they're concerned about the residential character of the property, but some of this property is located in a business district. So let's get the facts on that on the table. I think it would help to have some renderings about what this would look like. I know you provided some perspective, but the board will take notice that this is an important property in the town of Milton. And, you know, everybody, if you said the Milton Marketplace, everybody in the town would know it. And, you know, we've had hearings on this application before. There's been a fair bit of support for the businesses there. We appreciate that, but there is no question that there's a lot of pressure on the development in the square. And I think based on the testimony we heard from the 3 or 4 residents who took the time to come out, as well as the Dunn family who wrote, I think it's a fair request to just visualize this a little bit more than we've been able to today. I think it would help if you were more definitive on the breakdown of the production versus the retail. I think this is really important. Because the retail, even though you are technically overparked under the bylaw, people could say the bylaw doesn't have enough parking requirements based upon the demand, as evidenced by the fact that we approved the stackers, we as a board approved the stackers recently. So if you, and I know there was testimony that the production space is more important than the retail space, and there was testimony as to the breakdown of the 7,500 plus the 18 of conversion. If that's what your plan is, let's make that definitive for the purpose of talking to the Board of Appeals. And then lastly, well, two more points. I think it would help for you to estimate what the real parking demand is and what your capacities are. I know just from visual observation, the parking is at great demand. And, but I'm only there on Saturday afternoon. I don't know what it's like on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. But the neighbors might, and you might. You know more about this property probably than anybody. So it might help to get some sense of what the parking is like on a regular day, or I don't know. Some type of testimony on that, it would help. And then lastly, I feel like we're in a little bit of a catch-22 with the planning board, but I want to understand their expertise, and I'd like to hear from them a little bit. I'd like to have the opportunity to talk to town council about advancing the planning board hearing and the Board of Appeals hearing at the same time. And I wouldn't rule out a joint meeting if that made sense, because I think we've got a little bit of a unique case here. While you've got some technical issues with the bylaw, and as Ms. O'Donnell indicated, your special permit, I think the review of the site, in light of the testimony from the abutters, calls for the planning board to be heard. And perhaps there can be something arranged where they can open their hearing and we can act while their hearing is open, so they're not put in a position to rule on something that they're not authorized to rule on. I don't want to prejudge the outcome of what town council could design, but it seems to me that we would be doing the town a disservice if we ruled on something and then just threw the detail over to the planning board alone. But I want to be fair to the applicant as well, and don't put the applicant in a situation where they simply can't comply. So I'll take the burden of speaking to town council and the building commissioner on how to do that. I'd like to maybe hear from my colleagues on that point. But for all those reasons, I'd like to suggest that we postpone this. Not postpone. We continue this for another night when you have a chance to take a look at these issues, and then we'll come back. If that's acceptable to you, and I'll open it up to my colleagues to see whether or not they agree with me or they think that I'm all wet.
I don't think you're all wet, Jeff, at all.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Great points, each and every one of them. To me, it is sort of a bare bone application with a lot of holes in between. But all good intent here. But, I'm a visual guy, and good, solid, pretty, colorful renderings help me come to decisions in these matters. So your points are all well taken, Jeff. I would agree.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Having been the person who got the lucky short straw to draft the decision on the parking stacker, so I've read your variances and special permits. I've checked the title on the registry of deeds. I got all those copies. So, I kind of see where town council is coming from on making you come here. But I appreciate Jeff's, Chairman's comment about the fact that many of these things are not in the purview of the zoning board. They're really site design. And I do have a real problem with getting a plan that says this is where your retail space is, but not really. You're going to, I'd really want to see an updated version of this. I also think, noticing I'm in the neighborhood as well, and I walk to the fruit center. So, but you should be having elevations showing the visual impact of it from Antwerp Street. Now, I know that we have requirements to put in trees in this area to block this parking stacker, but I think the neighbors have been right to say there isn't anything that shows what this is going to look like. Now, I realize, and that may help when you do this, because the only part that is on this side that's new is this little section right here. But they can't really tell that from reading this. So that would be better. And so just sort of, and maybe sort of a view as you're coming in on the drive to see what it will look like. And people will realize that actually most of this area is actually screened by the existing second floor. So I think that helps in terms of thinking about whether or not this is going to be a serious impact on the neighborhood. I understand, I saw the emails from the Dunns, and I know, and people have talked about the fact that, East Milton Square has a parking issue, and it has this issue, and an apartment building, and God only knows what. I don't think that you're meant to solve those problems. And I don't think that the town is going to reach a solution on cut-throughs and speeding and all the rest of that sort of stuff in my lifetime. So I'm not really looking to you to address that sort of situation, but I do think, following up on the chairman's comments and my other co-members' comments, is that a better visual presentation of what you're doing would help.
Let's reinforce the fact that no one's asking to solve the problems of East Milton Square. People value the business that goes on here. People do want to address, I thought, the reasonable issues. The board wants to address the reasonable issues that came up with by the residents today. We want to get more definitive on what we're being asked to do. I appreciate the flexibility, but we like definitive. We like to know, and we have to know. And then the last issue really is, other than the setback, which I know you'll speak to Mr. Prondak about, thank you, is we'll figure out a process that will be fair to you with respect to the planning board. So is there any questions on that? Is that a reasonable resolution for tonight?
It's very reasonable, but I would like to address one issue that's come up here tonight. I heard one comment that one of the neighbors felt that we were being deceptive or they were duped. And to be honest with you, we respect the neighbors a great deal. And we like to have their input. Michael reaches out to them very often to discuss these things. He's reached out to Mr. Dunn a number of times. But no one was intended to be deceptive or tried to dupe anybody here. These things just came up at different times. And it's just a timing issue more than anything else.
Fair enough. The board will take your word for that, and appreciate that. Appreciate the comment and the clarification. Let me ask Mrs. Fitzgerald what the board calendar looks like. How much would maybe 3 weeks? Would 3 weeks? I guess the residents, if the renderings were here and the answers, 3 weeks or 2 weeks or a month.
I'd say you're looking at 3 weeks, we could get renderings done and what have you, yeah.
3 weeks
Yes,
would be,
please,
okay.
yeah.
God, let me see.
I already have one the 9th. How about the week of 14th to 16th?
Can't do Wednesday. Thursday. How about Tuesday? 15.
Yep.
Yeah, that should be good.
Counselor?
Fine.
Any in the residences, if we continue this hearing till the May 15, would that work for you? It'd be good if you were able to be here. As good as any other day? Okay. So, unless I hear an objection, Mrs. Fitzgerald, we're going to continue this hearing to 7:30 on Tuesday, May the 15th. In this room, in the John Cronin Conference Room. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Okay. The meeting is adjourned.